Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Pam from the Woolly Dragon. Probably this is going to be the last garden tour that maybe we're shooting. There may be some like little mini stuff a little bit later on, like in October and stuff like that. But just wanted to bring you along. Whereas in August we had like 10 inches of rain when normal is like at least half of that. So far in September, this is September 21st, I think I'm shooting this segment. We've had a total of 1 inch out of 4 being the average. So we're a little dry this September, which could be good, could be bad. I mean, I've still got stuff out in the garden that I have to, I'm trying to take care of. Some of it's gone, some I'm trying to start stuff for the fall garden. That I'm a little bit behind on, but procrastination and all that good kind of stuff. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I just don't get Brussels sprouts and rutabagas and stuff like that like I wanted to. So I just wanted to kind of start going around to the different beds and just show you what's left, what's totally gone, what's pathetically gone, what I really should have kept on that I didn't, and maybe some successes, some abject failures, that kind of thing. So buckle up, here we go. Okay, so this is my zucchini bed here. And you may be looking at this going, wow, that's really puny. But for me, this is actually a success. I just picked 2 little zucchini, got ahead of them, and this is the first year I've not dealt with a whole lot of squash bugs. I don't know if it's because I didn't plant the zucchini until pretty late, or as you can see, I learned from somebody that if you keep the leaves picked up until you get to an actual zucchini, that'll cut down, because evidently the squash bugs like the older kind of diseased leaves more than they like the young ones. I don't know why, but I'm okay with that. So I've been doing it on all 4 of these, and although they look a little bare, they're still putting out, because I mean, that guy over there's got one coming on. Here's one coming on. There's another one coming on. So I still have some zucchini coming in. And I'm okay with not getting, 12 zucchinis every week. That's okay with me. So I'm definitely going to keep this up for next year. One thing I may do, instead of planting 4 zucchinis all at the same time, is maybe plant, if I use this bed again, plant 2 like on this side, and then plant something else on this side that's quick growing, maybe even buckwheat or something like that I can mow down and put down as mulch, and then maybe a month later, after planting these guys, plant some more. I think, what is buckwheat 60 days? I might be able to do that, and then I can plant the buckwheat over here when these guys peter out, or I can do it around it. Don't know yet. We'll see. So what the plan is, eventually these guys are going to peter out, and I'm just going to cut them all down. But I think what I'm going to do is, in the interim, I'm trying to decide, because I got so much garlic this year planting over in this bed. Hope you can see that because of the sun. But right now this has got sweet potatoes in it, and I don't know if I want that much garlic next year, because I have been putting, if you saw the previous video that I put out a few days ago about freezing the roasted garlic paste, I'm going to have a lot of garlic. Both frozen garlic, frozen cloves of garlic, garlic heads that I have stored in the basement. I have potential having enough garlic to get me well through until next year. Oh, so I don't know if I'm going to continue the sheer volume. Potentially I could just do this bed, do half of it garlic, and then maybe a cover crop over on the other side, or vice versa. And then next spring, plant out onions in this bed and have onions going on one side and garlic coming out on the other side. I'll have to cogitate. I have until the end of October to decide. But in the meantime, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since there are quite a few blank spaces here, as you can see, my little corner here is starting to give way, so I'm probably at some point going to have to either replace or get some kind of metal brackets so I can join these corners back up, the corner back up again, or just leave it the way it is. Hello, Mr. B, or Ms. B. But back to the original. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the spaces here. I think what I might possibly do is plant some, either some broccoli or some cabbages. I don't think I want it. I think it's too late for rutabagas. I don't have any rutabagas planted, but I do have broccoli plants started. I do have cabbage. And I also have Brussels sprouts. Maybe I should do the Brussels sprouts. And then I can just move these poles over as the Brussels sprouts are starting. Yeah, maybe I can do that. And in the meantime, you know, the paltry shade that these zucchinis are giving out, they can kind of shade out the Brussels sprouts from heat, because we are getting blue skies these days. It's only in the 70s right now, but with the sun beating down on my head, I should have put a hat on. It's only like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's beating down on my little head right now. All right, so that's this bed. And this bed over here is the hot pepper bed, which is looking very bedraggled. Again, I think because it's been so dry. You can see kind of how rolled up. That's what peppers do when peppers and tomatoes and all that kind of good stuff do when they get kind of dry. Let's see, even though I've got, well, it's not that dry. All right. Now the other dilemma is, I need to put some fertilizer on here, but is it too late to do that? So these are all the hot peppers. I've got 6 pepper plants in this jungle right here. There's 2 jalapenos, serrano pepper, these little lemon drop peppers, and then snuggled up in here is one of those habanada peppers. And I picked some of them. They really don't have any heat at all, and you know, maybe it's my region. The reason why I got the habanadas is because I really don't like hot stuff, but I do like hot pepper jelly, and it's supposed to have some heat to it, but it's supposed to have like a citrusy, like almost like a smoke flavor, which is, I guess, what the habanero has. And the little bit that I tried didn't really have it, so I don't know. Maybe it's just not the variety for me, and I should just stick with my jalapenos. And then we have this is the holy basil here. There's one here and one over there. There's 2 of them in here. Big mistake. Only plant 1 next time, because that's pretty much taken over the middle half of the bed, even though it's supposed to be only about a foot section. This is a little section where I had carrots previously, and I planted some leeks. Some of the leeks are doing okay, like this guy. A lot of the leaves are kind of bedraggled. We had a storm went through a week or so ago that didn't give a whole lot of rain. It was like 3/4 of an inch of rain, which, you know, was good, but it also came with hail and, you know, sideways wind, and it looked like I was back in Florida going through the middle of a hurricane. So, okay, so we'll see if we get any of the leeks. They do seem to like being out in the sunshine more than they like being under cover. I had some leeks planted underneath that little shade cloth over there. They didn't do well right off the bat, so I just pulled them up. Looks like I need to go through here and do some weeding. This part doesn't have the mulch. It's got some moisture in there, but it still looks kind of dry on top. We're supposed to maybe get some rain in a couple days. Maybe I'll wait till then, but I don't know. My phone bill's not happy with me when I have to water my own beds. All right, you saw those sweet potatoes. They're looking a little dry too, so we'll see about giving them some judicious watering too. You can see the little flowers coming up on it. Proof positive that sweet potatoes and morning glories are related. And interspersed in this is, I don't know if this is cardinal climber or cypress vine. Cypress vine has finer leaves to it, but I haven't planted cypress vine here in probably 4 years. So either somebody in the neighborhood has it and the birds help to disperse some seeds, or something. But yeah, I think this is the cypress vine. But they usually like to actually climb. I usually have the cardinal climber or the cypress vine up against something so they can climb up something, and the hummingbirds love them. And this poor little guy. This is a potato that's coming up. I didn't plant potatoes in this bed last year. I planted them over there where the zucchinis are now. So this must be left over from 2022. Nature's weird. This poor little bed. So this is my catch-all bed. I went through here and cut back my anise hyssop plants back pretty far because the flower heads were, turning black and dying and making seeds. I really don't need any more anise hyssop plants, so I was trying to keep ahead of it. And right now it looks rather barren, but if we get any rain, it'll blush up again, and definitely will probably come back next year. Here is my purple tiger rose, looking much happier now that I've cut back that malva plant. That thing, if you see the red flower there, that does not go with the malva. That's a snapdragon that's just kind of leaning into the malva. Malva is a relative of hollyhocks and marshmallows. And that particular one got to be like 3 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. Was not expecting that. So I may or may not let that one come back next year because it's kind of close proximity to this poor little rose. So the rose itself seems to be bouncing back and putting out some new growth. It could look healthier, but I'll be happy if it survives the winter right now. More anise hyssop. So I planted, 3 anise hyssops on this end, 3 on that end about 3-4 years ago, and they're doing very well. Probably regret them being in this bed, but what are you gonna do? I've got a couple of, these are the dahlia plants that I've been cutting back once I was able to reach them because of their malva. Here's the snapdragon that this flower goes to, Black Prince. And that is a dianthus. I can't remember what the name of it is. If I remember, I'll put the name of it. But it's pretty pretty. We got same plant. We've got these pale pink and the dark pink. At least I think it's the same plant, is it? Yes, it is. Cool. So definitely, whatever that is. And basically I'm just letting these dahlias continue doing what they're doing, and then I'll see about digging them up. I think these guys were the creme de cassis actual bulb, tuber things that I had actually purchased, as opposed to the ones that I planted from seed. I think those guys are still, some of them are still going great guns, but these guys seem to be not enjoying. And that is stock, flower called stock. It does not like the heat, but it's still hanging on, so if we get any rain, maybe it'll put out some more blossoms before it freezes. Okay, so this is going to be my big harvest of parsnips. I planted this entire little barrel with parsnips about, put the seeds like 2 or 3 inches apart in the concentric circles, but only 2 came up. And I think the reason why was I planted the seeds a little too deep. So it's definitely a little too late. It's definitely too late to replant these guys now. I never did get back out here, even though I've been talking about doing it for a couple weeks. But my name, Procrastination Pam. This poor little bit. These bush beans got, oops, sorry. Don't mean to make you dizzy. These poor guys got really ripped up by that little storm that went through, and they're starting to put out beans. So I need to come out here and get, I have one plant that's not the purple kind. I think I actually did plant 2 different kinds, but the green kind wasn't very good germination. So I think I ended up with one that had the green pods, and then the rest of them all have the purple. But yeah, I need to get out here and get these picked. How are we doing for water? We're okay for water, although the surface is kind of dry. I have a love-hate relationship with beans. I love the beans, but they don't seem to love and like to grow for me. So I have been doing pole beans. Between flea beetles and the bean beetles, they usually eat everything before I get any kind of harvest. So I thought, I'll try bush beans this year and see. I had a couple of packets of old seed that I hadn't used. Or actually, I think it's stuff that my mom sent over. And thought, this is the famous horse trough feeder that I've repurposed. And it's just at the right waist level for me, so I don't have to bend over a lot. But yeah, one of these days I'm gonna find something. I mean, the strawberries did well, but they just got too congested too quickly. Maybe if I try growing fewer of them and getting a different variety from I had last time. But yeah, beans and I have a love-hate. I love to eat them, but I don't like how they grow and how they sometimes don't grow for me, and then I have to go out and pick them. So yeah, I'm lazy. Okay, this guy I need to get cleared out and do something, maybe put some radishes or something like that in. This poor little, I had one extra eggplant seedling that I didn't have a spot for in the regular raised bed, so I put it in here and just doesn't like it. And then these green onions are actually from earlier this spring, like April. So yeah, you can grow green onions, just again keep them picked. I was so wrapped up with the regular bulb onions that I forgot that I had green onions. Story of my life. Here's one of the herby beds that I've started cutting things back, deadheading and all that kind of stuff. I got around here, I deadheaded the oregano. There's creeping thyme, black-eyed Susans, and then I haven't gotten around to this end. My little sage that continues to come back, so we'll just keep you going as long as possible. I don't have the best of luck with sage being perennial for me. I think it just, I don't know, doesn't like the wet winters, doesn't like the really hot, dry summers. It's just not happy. So there's quite a few things in here that I probably should remove because I'm kind of wasting some space here. I mean, the black-eyed Susans are pretty, but they bloom for about a month, 6 weeks, and then they're kind of gone. I don't know. Or I make new raised beds. How about that? Okay, here's my little flower border bed. Oops, shadows. Okay, if I can see the screen, there's a shadow in the way. If I can't see the screen, we're good. So we'll just keep going with that. So this is my poor little drift. It's looking very bedraggled. It gets like this, and I think, oh, that's the end of that. I'm not going to have that coming back next year. And it comes back healthier than ever. And I've got to get under here with some gloves and there's some weeds under here that are starting to poke through that I really don't want to let go to seed. Obviously, they already did it one time because they just appeared this year. Here's a anise hyssop. How pretty they actually are instead of the old ugly dried out ones. Bed full of some cosmos. These are some actual cosmos that are reseeding like crazy, which I'm kind of okay with. And part of me is a little scared that I've started something. But I can't remember what the name of the variety, but they are totally dwarf. I don't think they're supposed to be this dwarf, but I'm okay with it. And they just put out these nice cheery little yellow and orange blossoms and reseed themselves very readily. See, there's one that's starting to go back to seed. And then we got some more black-eyed Susans. I may regret putting that there too, but I have the power of the hoe and the shovel. And here's one of those dahlias. That's one of the creme de cassis dahlias that I actually bought the tuber for. I like that flower. You can see it's looking a little, limbs are a little flimsy and floppy, so yeah, I need to water these guys. Got some borage that's starting to make a comeback. Still a little hot and dry for it. That poor little thing. All right, back before I did reading and learned how I was supposed to plant this stuff, this is one of those tea hibiscus plants. And I bought just seeds for a tea hibiscus, got it, planted 5 of them. They all grew wonderfully, no problems. I got the little flower calyces off of them. I think I still have some, on my shelf stored. But subsequent years that I've tried growing it, nothing. So this guy, usually these guys are like 5 or 6 feet tall. They're related to okra. You would think they would love it out here. I purposely put this one over here just in case the other previous failures didn't get enough sun, but it's just staying there. And so I'm guessing I was not meant to grow hibiscus tea. This little guy, where's the sun? Where's the sun? Okay, so this is a variety of zinnia. And I knew the name right before I was supposed to say it. Profusion. This is a red profusion zinnia. I will grow these kinds of zinnias till the day I die, because they are so gorgeous. And you can see there's one in here that's out of it. It just keeps growing and covers over it. And sometimes it does reseed itself. So yeah, I like this guy. These are a couple of nasturtiums. I think I put these guys here because I didn't have any other place for them. They did not like the summer weather, as you can see by the crispiness, but this guy is starting to put out some flowers. So we'll just leave them there. This is my stiletto rose, which is doing very well. If I had thought to take a video 10 days ago, this thing was covered in blossoms. And I, of course, cut them back. I actually took some cuttings from this guy. I actually took cuttings from all of my roses. Just to see if I can, and to have a replacement should winter do its usual thing and kill all my roses. I have no idea. I mean, they do fine, then winter comes and they winter kill. I do need to get in here and put more soil. I think the root base is sticking up a little too far as the soil has been settling, so I need to get that in there to kind of mulch around there and keep the roots okay. But and then the poor little pitiful comfrey that every year I put it in this bright sunny, doesn't have any shade spot, and it looks pitiful and bedraggled, and every year I think, that's it, it's gonna die, and then it comes back and it's beautiful, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's finally dug in, it's got its spot, it's got its roots down, we're gonna be okay, and then it starts looking pitiful again. But I do need to get in there and cut that back and put the leaves in to make some compost tea. That's the main reason why I keep it around. And when it flowers, of course, the bumblebees love it. So sometimes the garden gets away from all of us. Some of us more than others. My inherent dislike of being hot and sweaty doesn't help, since most of the growing stuff happens in the middle of summer when it's hot. But I'm just gonna come out here and say it. My name is Pam, and I'm a lazy gardener. I'll show you why. So this poor little bed is one of my tomato beds. And as you can see, there are tomatoes scattered all over the place. Some of them are edible, most of them are not. So I have to go through here now, and I'm just pretty much gonna go through and cut everything down, remove as much as I can. You can see there's the leftover of the wheat that was in the straw that I got, that I complained about earlier in the year. So basil going to seed that I should have cut back eons ago. There's poor little sweet alyssum in there trying to do its thing. Here's some snapdragon trying to do its thing. There's some parsley in there. It's kind of like jungle of death and destruction, but there's some stuff in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull out especially all the tomato plants. I mean, this is the sun gold tomato. You can see there's some right here. And I think I showed this one, this is the other tomato bed that I've removed 6 of the 8 that I grew here this year, and there's still 2 of the Juliets that are still going. You know, some of the leaves are dying back again. I have to come through here and graze that off, but it's still going. And the fact that it's pretty much out of the way, I'm gonna see what I can do about, there's, you know, blank spaces over here, blank spaces all in here that I'm gonna plant, probably broccoli or cabbage or something like that too. And because this is the north side of where I have the shade cloth, and it does cast a little bit of a shadow over here, so not as much sun can, so we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I have to clean that up. I'm so sick and tired of looking outside in my living room window and seeing this. It's a mess. This is what's left over from this bed. That's the future site of another bed that I need to weed whack around, but it's been so dry, I really don't want to stress out because I like having grass paths. I just need to keep on top of them and let them not go to seed so much. Story of my life. Procrastination. And you can see over there that red bucket. I'm just putting stuff that I can either throw on the burn pile or let compost down. Probably throw it on the burn pile. But the bed behind it, that's where the grape vines are situated. I need to get in there and get those watered. I don't think my pea vines are doing very well. Not the like edible peas, the blue pea vines that you can make tea out of the flowers. I'll think of the name someday. But yep. So this is my next project. I will hook back up with you when I get this cleaned out and you can see how well I may have done or not done. Stay tuned. You know you're getting old when going out morning in September, end of September. And yeah, it's a little sunny out here, but it's still in the 70s and it's very low humidity. But you still get overheated. That's when you're old. You're officially old. Well, okay, I'll amend that. I'm officially old. Oh, and out of shape. Hello, Miss Liz. How are you? Kitty cat came to join me. Okay. Garden clogs off for a second. Let my little hoofies breathe. Sit in the shade for a minute. Drink my water that I remembered to bring back down with me. Always important. Take it from your Auntie Pam. Stay hydrated. Sometimes it helps. Hi, Liz. You want to come up in my lap and say hi? So anyway, that was Miss Liz. So I'm going to sit here for a minute and see if I can mop up the glistening from my personage. I've got that bed about halfway cleared out. Wish I had been all the way cleared out. No, I guess, well, no, I still have to get the damn. Sorry, YouTube, didn't mean to cuss. Still have to get, the big thing is picking up all the rotting cherry tomatoes. And I'd actually taken a buck with me just in case, you know, some of the cherry tomatoes were still viable and edible and stuff like that. I seem to be eating them rather than collecting them. So this is probably the end of the cherries, sun golds and the tomato berries. I still have some of the Juliets left. But one thing I am finding, and I need to go write this down, so I'm glad I'm getting this on film. The Juliet grape tomatoes. Will you stop clawing on me? Thank you. Rude. The Juliet grape tomatoes during the height of their season are very, very sweet, and I love them to death. And they get 2 or 3 inches long and about inch and a half in diameter. And they will suffice as a paste tomato. They're not as big and chunky and may have a little more seeds than an actual paste. Do you mind not putting your butt in my face? You do mind? Okay. Gotta look. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Juliet's. So I can use them for paste tomatoes. And if I can't find an actual, looking at my pores, if I can't find an actual paste tomato that does well in my area, I did the San Marzanos this year, and I do like them, but they don't do very well. And also, they're not as prolific as I was hoping. I don't know, there probably really isn't a paste tomato out there that's cherry tomato prolific, but also puts on good size, chunky tomatoes. And yeah, I know I can use slicers too, but I like to use my slicers for slicing and put them on salads and stuff like that. I don't think I actually got a tomato sandwich this year. usually the first largish slicing tomato, I make a BLT without the L, BT. I usually try and put like smoked cheddar or something like that in place of the lettuce. I'm not a lettuce on the sandwich kind of person. I'll accept it if I go to a restaurant, but if it's my own devising, I'll leave the L off of there. Leave the L off of there. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna sit here for a few more minutes. I don't know if paste tomatoes. So if I can't find a paste tomato that does well in my area that I'm happy with, I may just forget about paste tomatoes altogether and just do the Juliettes and just let them be kind of a multi-purpose, use them for snacking and salads and then also for sauces and stuff like that. The only problem with using the Juliettes, and I may use them now that I'm thinking of it, later on the season when they're not quite as sweet, maybe I can use those for the sauce, so they won't be as sweet. Not that I mind sweet tomato sauce, but sometimes you want a tangy one. Is that you, or you catch a bug? Weird noises coming from behind me. So yeah, so that's my story. And I'm sticking with it. So I'm going to sit here for a little bit. I'm going to finish cleaning up the bed. I'm going to leave the T-posts where they are for right now. I contemplated removing where they are in the center of the bed, because what I had is it's a 6-foot bed, so I had 3 posts going down the center, evenly spaced, starting a foot in from the short end, and then every 2 feet, I think, yeah. But and then had the tomato cages kind of staggered, so they were more diagonal. So each tomato cage was hooked over the T-post and then kind of went in a line kind of like that rather than straight like that. I don't have a whiteboard or a computer screen behind me, sorry. But so I have 3 T-posts in there going straight down the middle of the bed. And I had contemplated pulling them out and then putting them back in, but I don't have the fence, the post pounder thingy that's over at my parents' house, I hope. If it's not, my dad's going to be ticked. But yeah, I think I'm just going to leave those, and I won't worry about shade cloth on that bed for right now. But over the winter, springtime, we'll be thinking about it again. All right, so once I get this cleaned up, I need more water. Once I get this cleaned up, I'll show you how I did. I may first go up and get my sun hat so my little brain doesn't cook. Back of my head and my rump are getting baked while I'm showing it off to the sun, I guess. Presenting my tuchus to the sun. That's got to have some kind of meaning, right? All right, so be back in a few. Okay, as promised. Here's the bed cleaned out of all the tomato plants, and I pulled up all the little wheat seedlings. Be interesting because some of them actually had seed heads on them. Be interesting to see how many loaves of bread I can make out of this bed next year if it comes back. But definitely looks nicer. And you will notice, of course, I didn't get all of the little tomato bodies. They're all over the place. If I see them, I pull them out and just throw them into the walkway. There's a wheat seedling that dried out. But in the meantime, so most of the tomato carcasses did go into my bucket here. And I got some refuse over here and over there that need to go on the burn pile when they dry out a little bit more. You can see there's some little tomatoes squished all over the place. Seeds galore. But that's okay because I can come through here with my weed whacker and my lawnmower and stuff and just keep them. Weeds aren't a problem as long as you keep them in check. It's when you give them free rein, which I am extremely guilty of. Right now, I'm not doing a lot of weed whacking. I've got some Johnson grass coming up in here. But I'm not doing a whole lot of weed whacking right now because it hasn't rained in so long. I'm just trying to keep things going. And I just noticed I've got holy basil seedlings coming up in the walkway. Oh well, yep, I'm not going to be needing to plant a holy basils next year. There'll probably be some coming up in that bed too. Alright, so a couple things I did notice. So the straw mulch that I put down on this side, same straw in all my beds. But you can see it's starting to break down really well. So I'm going to leave this like it is over the winter. Probably going to throw down some stuff like wood ashes and alfalfa pellets if I can find some that don't cost $500 a bag. And then when it comes closer to actual planting time, I'll throw in some organic fertilizer and that kind of stuff. But there's that. And you can see my little drip irrigation hose that's winding through here. There's rocks strategically placed here and there that I originally put down to hold down the hose because it was trying to spring up on me and not be in contact with the dirt. Now, the one thing I need to remember for next year is to actually use the darn thing. So since no water has gone through this hose this year, I'm just going to leave it in place and it'll be fine. As long as there's not actually water inside that's freezing and thawing, it'll be fine. And then next year I will try and find the connectors so that I can actually just plug it up to the hose and let it go for a little bit. I don't have drip irrigation in every bed. I wish I did. And I also don't have drip irrigation that's all connected to one line. I wish I did. There's just too many, the pathways and stuff like that. I just don't have the wherewithal to make the connections and get them out of the way so I can not weed whack over them and trip on them and all that kind of stuff. So one of these days when I win the lottery, all that kind of good stuff. But so the remaining plants in here, I've got a couple of these basil plants that are flowering. So I'm going to leave those for the bees. This poor little alyssum here, I don't know if I should just put it out of its misery. I have learned from experience last year that if you give it water and a little TLC, it bounces back really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that there. And then I have the snapdragons and parsley. So let's address the what the heck does this mean moment. So we'll notice over here, this nice curly leafed parsley here. It's doing rather well. I just had to trim a few dead stems off and get the dropped cherry tomatoes out from the branches so it wouldn't get rotted on or anything. But it's doing really well. And then we have, this is a Italian flat-leaf parsley that's not doing so well. So is it a matter of, this was the spot right here where the one tomato plant that I had died within like 10 days of me planting it. If it's something to do with the soil right here, is the basil ignoring that? And the parsley is also affected. So what's the deal? Is there not as much water, when it rains and stuff like that? Does it not get as much water, or does the soil over here drain faster, what? But then we have the snapdragon. This snapdragon's doing really, really well. That snapdragon, the one that's the very same variety, not doing so well. So did this snapdragon get adequate water and enough sunshine, and that gets shaded out? And that's its problem, because it looks like it has a little bit of disease. But then this guy, he gets morning sun up until mid-afternoon. So, and then the one right next to him, the parsley, it's doing fine. And then the last two remaining plants, and then I think I'll wrap up this video and do the rest of the garden tour in a few days. So we've got our stock here that I'm just gonna leave. You come in here and trim back some of these dead things. You never know, it may come back. And then this is a coreopsis plant, tick seed, I think. There was a tick seed plant here before. I have never planted tick seed before, and I kind of liked it. So I can't remember if coreopsis, if that is indeed coreopsis, if it's a perennial or if it's an annual. So I'll have to go up and do some investigation. But so now I have a nice new bed. I'm going to, of course, I have to come out here and water this bed real good to get it kind of rehydrated. The soil itself, filling underneath, isn't bone dry, but it's getting that way. So if I want to plant broccoli and things like that, oh yeah, I am planting stuff in this. So I have to go ahead and get the fertilizer on and get that watered in before I plant them. So many things to remember. All right, guys, so let's wind up this one. So we'll pick up where I left off. Hopefully can get back out here this afternoon. Don't know if you're able to see me. Oh, well, wherever. You know what I look like, maybe. Excuse me. That was sweat, not snot, I promise. We'll pick up where I left off and we'll continue, finish this part up, go look at the other spaces, maybe take a look at the bees, and then we'll do the backyard garden and see how stuff's doing out there. I don't know how I can talk this long. When I was teaching, I was always trying to figure out how to fill the time I had. I guess part of me was just like, read the book. If you have questions, tell me. But that doesn't always work. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and, oh, I see bees all over the place. Yay, bees. So go ahead and stop here. This is probably going to be 3 hours long as it is. And hope to see you back again. Bye.